The night rain poured endlessly over the small, dimly lit parking lot. Daniel wiped the grease off his hands and locked his garage door, ready to head home to his little girl. That's when he heard a soft knock on his car window. A woman stood there, drenched, trembling, her designer heels sinking in puddles. Her voice shook as she whispered, Can I sleep in your car tonight?" Daniel froze. This wasn't just any stranger. Her face looked familiar. Too familiar. It was the woman whose company logo he saw every day on the oil barrels he used. The CEO of Maxwell Motors. Why would a millionaire CEO be out here, shivering in the rain, begging to sleep in his car? Pause for dramatic music. Before we dive in, if you love stories about kindness, fate, and unexpected love, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss another emotional story. Rain washed over the cracked pavement outside Daniel's auto repair, turning the world into a blur of silver reflections. It was late, close to midnight, and Daniel wiped his hands on an old rag, exhausted from a long day. The last car was fixed, the tools put away, and all he could think about was getting home to his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, who'd be waiting with her favorite bedtime story. But as he reached his car door, he froze. A faint, hesitant knock broke through the drumming rain. He turned. There she was. A woman stood there drenched from head to toe, her once elegant blouse clinging to her frame, her hair dripping into her eyes. Her heels were muddy, her mascara smudged, but even through the rain, she looked expensive. Out of place. "Can I sleep in your car?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Daniel blinked, unsure if he heard right. "What?" Her lips trembled. "Please. Just for a few hours. I don't have anywhere else to go." He looked around the empty street, the flickering streetlights casting lonely shadows. It wasn't the kind of neighborhood anyone would want to spend the night in, especially not a woman like her. Mom, are you okay?" he asked gently. "There's a motel just 2 blocks down." Her eyes filled with panic. "No, I can't go there." She took a shaky breath. "Please, just let me sit inside. I'll be gone by morning." Something in her voice broke him. It wasn't pride, it was desperation. Daniel hesitated, torn between caution and compassion. But he couldn't ignore someone who looked that lost. "All right?" he finally said. "Get in. You'll catch pneumonia out here." She nodded, whispering a thank you, and climbed in carefully. Daniel turned on the heater, and the car filled with the faint hum of warmth. For a moment, silence stretched between them, thick and uneasy. He studied her from the corner of his eye. Her hands shook as she tried to warm them. Her eyes darted to the dashboard, then the floor, then to the rain outside. "So," he said cautiously, "rough night?" She let out a small, humorless laugh. "You could say that." He noticed the ring mark on her finger, empty. Recently removed. Then the faint cut on her wrist, like she'd fallen or been shoved. Something about her screamed heartbreak and escape. Daniel didn't pry. He knew what it was like to run from something painful. He turned down the heater a little and offered her a towel from the glove box. "You can dry off with this, and I've got a thermos of coffee in the back seat if you want." Her lips twitched, almost a smile. "Thank you. You're very kind. No problem." "You can stay as long as you need," he said simply. "Name's Daniel, by the way." She hesitated before answering. "Claire." Something about how she said it, soft, cautious, felt like it wasn't her real name. But Daniel didn't push. Minutes passed. She sipped the coffee slowly, eyes staring out at the rain, lost in thought. Then, as a car passed, its headlights briefly illuminated her face, and Daniel's breath caught. He'd seen her before. Not here, but on billboards, TV ads, magazines in the waiting room. Claire Maxwell, CEO of Maxwell Motors, the very company whose logo was painted on his garage barrels. What on earth was she doing here? He almost asked, but stopped himself. She looked fragile, like one wrong word could shatter her completely. "Instead," he said quietly, "if you need to talk, I'm a good listener. I've been through my share of storms too. She gave him a look. Half surprise, half gratitude. Storms, she murmured. Yeah, you could call it that. The rain softened outside. She leaned back in the seat, eyelids heavy. I wasn't supposed to end up here, she said softly. I had everything. Cars, mansions, people bowing when I entered a room. But tonight, I realized none of it mattered. The man I trusted most tried to destroy me. Daniel listened silently, hands gripping the steering wheel. He stole from the company. Blamed me. Board meeting tonight. Everyone believed him. I was escorted out like a criminal. Her voice cracked. I didn't even have time to grab my purse. Just drove. Her eyes glistened with tears. I drove until I ran out of gas. That's when I saw your garage lights. Daniel's heart clenched. So you've been out here all night? She nodded, her breath trembling. He sighed deeply. You shouldn't be alone in a place like this, Claire. She looked at him with tired eyes. I didn't have anyone else to turn to. That line hit him harder than he expected. He remembered the nights he sat in a hospital parking lot, after losing his wife to illness, holding baby Lily and whispering, I have no one. He knew that hollow loneliness too well. Tell you what, he said gently. There's a small office inside the garage. Couch isn't much, but it's warm. You'll rest better there than in this car. Her eyes widened. You'd let me stay? Sure. It's not the Ritz, but it's dry. A tear slipped down her cheek. Thank you, Daniel. I don't know why you're helping me. Because someone once helped me when I needed it most, he said quietly. She followed him into the small office. It smelled faintly of motor oil and coffee, but it was cozy. Daniel handed her an old blanket from the storage cabinet. She sat down, holding it close. Your daughter must be lucky, she said softly. You have a kind heart. Daniel smiled faintly. She's my whole world. Lost her mom when she was 3. Been just us since then. Claire's gaze softened. She's lucky to have a father like you. And you, he said gently, don't seem like the kind of woman who gives up easy. You'll get through this. For the first time, a small genuine smile touched her lips. You think so? I know so. They talked for a while longer. About small things, about Lily, about the rain. Then her head began to tilt, exhaustion winning the fight. Daniel grabbed a spare jacket, draped it over her shoulders, and turned off the light. As he closed the door, he glanced back. She looked peaceful, almost childlike in her sleep. But deep down, Daniel couldn't shake one thought. How could a woman with everything end up needing to sleep in a mechanic's garage? He didn't know that by morning, his life, and hers, would change forever. The morning sun crept through the dusty windows of Daniel's small garage, painting golden streaks over the steel tools and the woman asleep on the couch. For a moment, it looked almost peaceful. The way her face rested against his old jacket, the faint rise and fall of her breathing. Daniel quietly brewed coffee, trying not to wake her. His daughter, Lily, sat at the corner table with her cereal bowl, swinging her little legs and humming softly. Daddy, she whispered, eyes wide. Who's that lady? Daniel smiled faintly. Someone who needed a safe place last night. Be polite, okay? Lily nodded, curious eyes never leaving the stranger. Moments later, the woman stirred. She blinked, confused, before realizing where she was. Her cheeks flushed slightly as she sat up. Oh, I'm sorry, I must have fallen asleep. No harm done? Daniel said, handing her a steaming cup. Coffee helps with mornings around here. She smiled gratefully, taking it in both hands. You're too kind, Daniel, I can't thank you enough. Before he'd answer, Lily piped up. Hi, I'm Lily. Daddy fixes cars, and I draw unicorns. Claire chuckled softly, her eyes warming. Nice to meet you, Lily. I love unicorns too. Daniel couldn't help but notice how natural it felt. Seeing them talk. Like a glimpse of something he hadn't realized he'd been missing. After breakfast, Claire insisted on helping around the shop. Daniel tried to stop her, but she wouldn't hear it. She swept the floor, organized the tools, even helped hand him wrenches while he worked on a customer's car. "You don't have to do that," he told her, wiping sweat from his forehead. She smiled faintly. "After the week I've had, it feels good to do something real. Honest work." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You call this honest work?" "Absolutely," she said, her tone soft but sure. "It's honest because you fix what's broken." He froze a moment, looking at her. Those words struck deeper than she probably realized. Hours passed like that. She laughed with Lily, shared stories, carefully avoiding anything about her past life. But Daniel noticed the way her eyes clouded sometimes, the distant look she got whenever her phone buzzed, before she turned it off again. Finally, around afternoon, a black car slowed in front of the garage. 2 men in suits stepped out, scanning the area. Daniel frowned. Claire's entire body tensed. "Who are they?" he asked. She shook her head quickly. "Please, don't say anything. Don't tell them I'm here." Before he could reply, the men entered. "Morning," one of them said briskly. "We're looking for someone, a woman, mid-30s, dark hair, about this tall." He gestured roughly to her height. "She might have passed through here last night." Daniel crossed his arms, calm but firm. "Haven't seen anyone like that." The man gave him a skeptical look, but after a moment, they nodded and left. The car disappeared down the road. Claire exhaled shakily, clutching the counter. "Thank you. You didn't have to do that." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Who are they, Claire?" She hesitated, then sighed. "My former head of security. And my ex-fiancé. That got his full attention." "I told you he framed me," she said quietly. "He's trying to keep me quiet. If the truth comes out, he loses everything. So he's hunting me before I can reach the board with proof." Daniel stared at her in disbelief. "You mean he's dangerous?" She nodded. "He's capable of anything." He rubbed the back of his neck, trying to process it. "You're saying a CEO, someone like you, has been sleeping in my garage because of him?" Her eyes glistened. "I'm saying I didn't know where else to go, and when I saw your lights last night, I just wanted to feel safe for a moment." For a moment, silence hung heavy between them. Then Daniel spoke softly. "You're safe here, I promise." Tears welled in her eyes, but she quickly turned away. "You shouldn't get involved. It's not your fight." "Maybe not," he said. "But no one deserves to be hunted like that. You stay here as long as you need. I'll figure something out." That night, Daniel made up a small bed for her in the back office. Lily left her favorite stuffed bunny by the pillow, so Miss Claire doesn't have bad dreams. When Claire saw it, she couldn't stop the tears this time. She's an angel," she whispered. Daniel smiled softly. "Takes after her mother." Later, as the moonlight fell across the quiet shop, Claire stood by the window, looking out. Daniel joined her. "You ever wonder," she said, her voice fragile, "how life can change overnight? One day you're in control of everything, the next, you're begging for a place to sleep." He looked at her gently. "I do. Lost my wife that way. Everything changed overnight. Taught me not to take peace for granted." She turned toward him, eyes shimmering. "I'm sorry, Daniel. Don't be," he said. "Maybe some pain teaches us how to see people better. I saw someone hurting last night. Not a CEO, not a stranger. Just someone who needed a bit of kindness." For a long moment, their eyes held, two broken souls finding quiet understanding in each other. Days passed. Claire slowly began to smile again. She helped Daniel with customers, cooked meals with Lily, and even fixed the signboard outside. The more she laughed, the more life returned to her eyes. Then one morning, Daniel found her typing on an old laptop. "What's all this?" he asked. "I'm writing my statement," she said firmly. "I'm going to the board tomorrow. I'll prove everything." "You sure it's safe?" "No," she admitted. "But I can't hide forever. You gave me strength I thought I'd lost, Daniel." That afternoon, she left, with Daniel's old jacket still on her shoulders. He watched her car drive away, praying she'd make it safely. 2 weeks later, a brand new black SUV pulled up in front of the garage. Daniel looked up from under a hood and froze. Claire stepped out radiant, confident, but with the same warmth in her smile. "Miss me?" He laughed in disbelief. "You clean up fast for someone who slept in a mechanic's garage." She grinned. "Turns out boardrooms listen, Gunner, when you stop being afraid. My ex-fiancée's in custody, and I'm reinstated as CEO." "That's incredible," Daniel said, relief flooding his face. "But that's not why I came." She stepped closer, her tone softening. "You helped me when I had nothing. No one's ever done that for me before." "You didn't see a CEO. You saw a person." Daniel scratched his head awkwardly. "You needed help. Anyone would have done the same." "Not anyone," she said. "Just you." Lily ran out, giggling, and Claire knelt to hug her. "I brought you something," she said, handing her a pink box. Inside was a toy unicorn. "Unicorn," Lily squealed. "You remembered?" Daniel's throat tightened at the sight. When Claire stood again, her eyes met his. "Daniel, I could offer you anything, money, cars, a job. But the truth is, I just want to be part of this little family you've built." He stared at her, speechless. "You're serious?" She smiled, tears glinting in the sunlight. "Completely. You fixed what was broken, Daniel. Not just cars. Me." Daniel took a deep breath, his heart pounding. "Then maybe," he said softly, "it's time we both stop running." Claire nodded, her smile trembling. "I'd like that." As Lily danced around them, laughing, Daniel pulled Claire into a gentle embrace. The kind that promised healing, not escape. And for the first time in years, both of them felt something rare, peace.